Right. Today the fun really starts. Last three big pieces of the bodywork. Bed sides, there's two of them. And obviously finally the hood. I've been putting off the bigger and bigger jobs and the ones that scare me the most. I don't know if they scare me or if it's just that some of this stuff is kind of unknowns. When I look at this, you can hear that. That is probably in old Imperial, I don't know, a good 1/3 of an inch worth of filler. I mean, it literally is in millimeters, probably 6 or 7 millimeters thick over here. I don't know how much there is. We'll see once the wire wheel of death or the knot wheel of truth, whatever you want to call it, comes out, which will come out today because it's an easier way to tear a lot of filler off than go with a drum sander, because the drum sander I'm using for most of the paint work. But you can see there are at least 3 or 4 coats of paint here. There's 2 reds, there's a grey primer, and in between there's a black. I don't know what the black is, or it's maybe the other way around, but I think the black is above. So you've got metal, grey primer of some sort, black, and then 2 different colours of red. I'm not sure if this has got blue on it as well. Definitely the back end. Yes, there's blue in there as well. So the original blue colour is on here as well. So we could be having fun here, but I'm going to start with this one. Just get it up here. Hopefully this table is right. It's always difficult because these things, all of these things move when you're working. It's about getting it set right. So you have minimum movement. That side is nice and solid. This side is wibbly wobbly. So I think what I'll do, I've got the foam, I've got a couple of foam cushions. I think if I tuck one in there and hopefully don't grab it with the wire wheel, it should stabilize this a bit more, just so that one can work on a solid surface. Just remembered, somebody on Facebook recently gave away a bunch of different sizes. I've got 2 small ones like this and 2 full-size cushions. I don't know what they come from. They didn't smell or anything. But the fact is, when these things come up free on Facebook, people don't always know why you use them. In my case, I knew exactly why. I've got a full-size mattress on which I've actually, I say full-size single mattress on which the cab is laid as well. When you're working on the floor, you can roll stuff on and there's no damage. So for now, let's see if this helps. Ideal. But I think I'll use it like this. I can hear a chainsaw in the background. I'm assuming the farmer is cutting down trees again. You can hear this. It's thick and heavy, especially up there. There it becomes thinner again. So I'm assuming this back end got whacked at some point. It's quite irregular as well. We'll change this over to time delay now, because you don't want to watch all of this. This is 5 minutes of me jabbering already. Having a closer look maybe. You can see there's some dents that'll need working on. The irregularity of all of this. But we've now learned we can fix this stuff. It just takes a bit of time. You can see all sorts of screws in there. There's another one there. There's a pair of braces that fit on the inside of these things. And then, I don't know if you can see the thickness of that filler. You see how it's cracked. That'll just be a dust storm when I tear all of it off, but hopefully once it's done, it'll be good. So yeah, let's see where we get all of this. Right down to this end. And then eventually when this has been bare metaled, I'll put it away for, well, in fact I'll put primer over it just to kind of stop any flash rust or anything like that. Up on this side, just so you can see, it's all the welds that I previously did. That was a few months ago, where all the holes were drilled. So those will obviously need a bit more working once I get to the filler part of this job. But the interesting bits will be getting into these grooves, tidying them up, so I can work with them, get the primer in there, get the paint out. Done it before, we'll have to do it again. The stuff that irritates me, as I said, is the filler, little dents like this, but you know, they just take time, fix them. So yeah, that's where we're at, is to fix this thing today. Get as much of it cleaned off. day 2. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. Beats the rain that we've had the last couple of days. I managed to do the one bedside, just all the edges. Yeah, all the edges and the one groove where the two sides fit come together. Today I've got to do the flat surfaces, but I'm contemplating doing the second bedside like I did yesterday. Start prepping just all the edges, and then I'll use the drum sander to do the big surfaces. Saying that, on the first one that I started yesterday, the amount of filler that's there, I'll probably be better off using either this little one, where I've got one left that Mark gave me. This is bigger, more brutal. Maybe that's actually a better option for the filler, but I'll see how far I get with this. They end up like that with nothing left. And of course, if you're like me, you buy a whole box full of them. I think this was like 20 quid for, I don't know how many, 1, 2, 3, like 12 I guess in there, something like that. I paid £10 for one previously at Machine Mart, or not Machine Mart, Tool Station. So always make sure that you look at where you can get the better deal. This was eBay, same item, different price. But yeah, I've got loads of these. Thick gloves, prayer, double eye protection, really important because these little needles go everywhere. I mean, I've had them on the side of my neck, and you don't know how it got to the side of your neck when you're grinding over there, but it happens. So yeah, I guess setup time. Get this thing sorted quickly, get the table out. I'm still not sure which way to go. Do I carry on with the first one that I started yesterday, finish bare metaling it? Come to think of it, you know what? I think that is the right answer. I'll put a mask on because that dust is... It didn't leave me with a headache or anything last night, but I'm sure it's not good for you. And all that filler, which will have residual chemicals in there from the last 20, 30, 40 years, whenever that was slathered in filler in America. Good old American restoration techniques. In fact, I don't think it was restored in America. I think this thing was put in a ditch by someone. Somebody bought it as a salvage, repaired it, threw a bucket of red paint at it, and got it out the country. But hey, it'll be good once we're done. I put this quite far away because these little needles fly. I mean, they're even here on the floor inside the garage. So when I'm done, I run around with Mickey's big magnet. This thing is quite brutal. I drag it around and it picks up pretty much every grinding, every bit of metal on the floor. But you just got to be kind of methodical when you do it. So we'll get to that. But I'll try and work further out. So less of the dust and residue gets inside the garage. Looking at where I cleaned up yesterday, amazingly, I mean, this is, what's this, 12? I stopped at 6 o'clock, so, and it's now 10 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, what's that, 18 hours later, and it's got flash rust everywhere. So really, truly, this time of the year, the minute you're done sanding, which will, in this case will be once I've done the drum and the DA, once you've done that, you got to immediately put some primer on to close it up. Otherwise, as I say, it's rusty already. And that's the surface rust, but it's no use trying to work on top of that. Changed my mind again. I'm actually going to start on the inside of this thing, because the rear of these bed sides, or the underside of the bed sides, also need cleaning. They'll get under sealed, rhino liner or whatever. So I just need to at least clear the worst of the original stuff off them. These braces I'm not interfering with at this moment. The screws that they've been screwed together with, you can see, are pretty brutal. Trying to take all that apart might end up doing more damage than what I'm prepared for right now. Inside of the bed, loads of, as you can see, bed liner once again. Ask me who smeared that on. That was me, because when I bought the truck it was done already, so I obviously ended up cleaning it up, tidying it up, and putting another coat of textured bed liner. Now the chickens have come home to roost and I have to clean that shit. You see discoloration on here already. That's the flash rust that's literally come up overnight. Not ideal, but it is what it is. You deal with it. All of this, there's so many irregular surfaces from the various machining and welding. You can see a bunch of holes there, so there's obviously had been banged at the back. That's also dented in, which isn't me, but this was all covered in filler and nice and smooth. I'll clean up in there with a smaller tool. And then when you look at this side, we've got these screws holding all of that together. Maybe I'll just get in there, disassemble everything, weld it up. This side, you've got tears as well in the metal, so I'll probably end up, what I'll do is clean it up on the inside, put a brace, weld in a little brace on each side, and then close up the outside and start with new holes just to hold these, because I think these are probably welded in on the inside here. Yeah, they've definitely been welded in there, and then over here they screwed in. So I'm assuming you've got an outside and an inside skin here, and that's going to make an interesting bit of work getting in there with tools to get the dents out once the filler comes out. Same as that's just hammer and dolly work, straighten it out as good as I can. This side similarly. This bed side isn't as bad actually as the driver's side. The driver's side was put out when the day, less than 5 minutes after Nicola and I went and fetched this truck, about 45 miles from here. If you look at that bed side, can you see that it's standing proud, so it comes out? That's because she hit the bumper that then hit the bottom of that rear panel, pushed that in, pushed it out because there wasn't any bracing there. So yeah, that'll be interesting as well, just changing the energy direction there when I get to it. But that's another day's job. For today, right now, I'm going to start by just cleaning up the inside of this, because everything has to be cleaned, and then I can flip it over and get to the paint and the filler on the other side. I'm assuming it's going to take me a couple of days to do all these panels, and then I'll get to the hood eventually, or the bonnet. So yeah, thanks for watching. 9 minutes in. Right, the bed sides are stripped of paint, but not stripped of underseal. So there's still some underseal on the back because obviously everything above the bed floor originally was coloured paint. I was going to just paint it black, but the OCD and having to do stuff right just doesn't sit right with me. So I'm going to clean this up, and then I'll fetch out the heat guns again, get the heat guns, heat guns, and strip off that black tar that's smeared on the inside of the bed. At some point it'll all be cleaned up properly, primered, painted, and the outsides of the beds on both sides are horrendous. That thing has been hit good and proper on both sides at the rear. One side's actually torn, the metal's actually torn, there's loads of dents, loads of old-fashioned repairing holes and stuff drilled in. So all the holes need to be welded up, the tears need to be welded up. I found some rust at the bottom of one of the stake pockets, so that I've got to cut out and rust and replace. So yeah, not going as quick as I wanted to, but right now, look carefully where Henry starts. I'll be exposing something else that you might be interested in. Those that actually watch the videos, by the way. That's that for now. Next job I think is to make a coffee and a sandwich or something. It's probably about 1 o'clock, maybe after, I don't know what the time is. This is a mess. But anyway, so there you go. Next job actually when I come back will be to run around with Mickey's magnet, sweeping the whole of this drive, because those little wires from the knot wheels go everywhere and they do hurt when they go in. So yeah, thanks for watching.